semantic antivirus protections. You could get those from TechSoup if you're a nonprofit organization with a 501c3. If you're not, then you could also get them from Dell, or you could also get them from other charity licensing companies or vendors. Those software are basically, if you're using Windows XP, and if you're still using some of the older operating system, you can still use the Semantic Corporate Edition. But if you're using those new processor or new server nowadays, new workstation nowadays, you basically will need the Semantic endpoint protections. And the endpoint protections will support all the new technology, including those new Intel processor like the Core 2 Duo and the Core 2 Quad. The antivirus protection will not support some of those newer processors. But the endpoint protection is a little bit harder to configure. So it's a little bit tricky, but you have to do is you have to create a files for the installation package in order for you to install the endpoint protections. And once you do that, then you could basically deploy it to all the workstations. And the tricky part is you have to make sure that the workstation's firewall is disabled before you can install those endpoint protections on those workstations. There is AVG, which is another antivirus protection that's online for free. For those free, I don't know that much about it, but however, if you want to use it, you could use it for home, or if you have no other options. If you're nonprofit organizations, there's a 501c3 that qualify for antivirus protection through TechSoup, then I would recommend using those rather than the AVG. Well, I've used the Semantic for quite some time, and I'm pretty happy with it. It does the job just fine. I also use the AVG too, and those are free, and those do the job just fine too. The only thing about Semantic is that when you purchase those, you know that they're working on their ends to make sure that they're catching all the news, virus protection, and getting all the updates. Compared to a free one, you really don't know the status or the dates of some of those updates that you can get. Plus, in order for you to get the more advanced features, then it costs an addition. Viruses kind of varies. By using the endpoint protections or using the antivirus protections, when they do, you set it up where it automatically do the live updates, and then you also automatically set it up where it'll automatically scan all the workstations. So instead of going to every single workstation, especially if you have a server, instead of going to every single workstations, you have the server manage everything, so you could just go to that one location and basically look at that and see what kind of viruses are there at each workstations. And then you could just go ahead and clear those threads, or basically go into those workstations and then do a manual scan, or you could also set the workstation for automatic scan too. And the virus is basically varies. Some of the symptoms that I've seen, it's basically hard to tell, especially with spyware, malware, and adware, and these other symptoms. It's always hard to tell unless you run these software applications, then you'll be able to kind of determine what causes what. The semantic endpoint, the cost varies depending on the number of users that you use. They go by like 5 users, 10 users, 25 users, 100 users, 150 users. Same thing with the Antivirus Corporate Edition. They also go by the number of users. And when we're talking about user, which really means that how many users are actually on the server, or they're basically going to be using these softwares to manage their account and also the computers.